welcome back to our next installment of our Tech Bytes series, Intro to CMOST and Proxy Dashboards. Today's session will cover an overview of CMOST, and then we'll move to a demo covering an important aspect of CMOST, the Proxy Dashboard. Traditionally, the workflows for reservoir simulation projects used to investigate different scenarios have been very manual and sequential in nature. A geomodel is built and utilized often without much consideration of uncertainty, and a single geological realization is chosen. History matching is based on experience, with the trial and error approach often leading to a single history matched model, which then is used to produce a deterministic forecast. The model may also be optimized manually, again through trial and error, followed by some economic analysis. But how much confidence can we have in this approach resulting in a single answer or a forecast? Each input into the model has its own underlying uncertainty. CMOST is the answer to what if. What if we could assess the uncertainty inherent in the data and model? CMOST works in conjunction with CMG simulators to quickly simulate many cases to assess and quantify unknowns, whether subsurface variability when tuning and matching models to history, or operational in nature when trying to optimize and determine the best path forward. Interactions between variables can be understood when determining potential impacts. So what is CMOST? CMOST is a powerful tool which leverages proxies and machine learning to intelligently run sensitivity analysis, history matching, optimization, and uncertainty assessment studies. Discover the optimal approach to enhance your reservoir's value by blending advanced statistical analysis, machine learning, and unbiased data interpretation combined with your own engineering knowledge. So what does a modern workflow look like? We start with data from the field to create a model, flagging inputs which have uncertainty. CMOST can be leveraged to run a series of history matches, sensitivities, forecasts aided by machine learning and physics-based proxies to accelerate towards a solution. This workflow provides us with actionable insights to drive greater returns on our investment decisions. Now that we have an overview of CMOST, let's dive into a demo covering an important topic, the Proxy Dashboard. So the CMOST interface is broken down into three main sections: the input, the control center, and the results and analysis. In the input section, we put in some base information like what's our model we want to use as the base, some outputs we'd like to see under the fundamental data, parameterization, so what parameters we'd like to change or what we flagged as uncertain parameters. In the case of this tight oil study, we've identified some parameters such as rock compressibility, some properties related to the hydraulic fracture, whether it's the height or the length, some endpoints for our relative permeability, and the permeability horizontal and vertical in the model and our porosity distribution. Under objective functions is where we want to define our goal for the study. In the case of our history match, of course, our goal is to minimize the error between our simulation results and our historical information. The next section is the control center. This is where we can set some information about our engine, the engine type we'd like to use, some simulation settings like what simulator we're going to use and where we're running it and how. An experiment table, which will give us a list of all the experiments we've run. In this case, we've run 500 experiments or jobs. Our proxy dashboard, which we'll come back to a little later, and some other information related to the simulation. The last section is the results analysis, where as the simulations are run or being run or the study has been completed, you can view all your results in this section. And that's broken down into three main sections: parameters, which is related to the parameters we defined earlier, our time series, so any output we flagged to view, and our objective function. Let's focus in on the objective functions, and specifically the proxy analysis. This was created as we start running more jobs and those get trained and those get used to train our proxy model. So we can view our first one, which is cumulative oil produced. All these data points are representing our actual simulation results. And now we're plotting them on the actual simulated cumulative oil produced versus the proxy prediction of the cumulative oil. Of course, the more values that fall directly on the solid blue line here means the better the prediction for our proxy model. And the more models we run will be used to fine-tune and train our proxy model itself. So one of the ways to view how well our proxy model is working is based on this visual indication. Another one is by the R-squared value at the bottom here. So we have R-squared training and verification. The dots in the green are representing our verification. So they're not used for training, but we just ran these cases to see where they fall on this plot of simulated versus proxy predicted cumulative oil. That can also be summarized under the statistics window, which give you a few more ways to dice the data and understand how well your proxy model is predicting the actual results. Effect estimates would show you, which is a breakdown of all the parameters available in your study and which ones are impacting your simulation results the most. And that can also be broken down into the Morris analysis and the Sobel analysis. So now let's go ahead and look at some proxy settings. So under proxy settings, we can see the selections for proxy model type, proxy model polynomial model type, and change our alpha value if necessary. You can do that for all the other objective functions like cumulative gas produced or your GOR as well, and look at the same analysis we saw previously. Once you're satisfied, we can now go ahead and leverage our proxy dashboard. The proxy dashboard is broken down into three main sections. The first section is our experiment for the proxy, related to a specific experiment ID, which is a simulation job, the parameters and the associated values to those parameters, our what if scenario, which we'll come back to, and on the right is our plots that we've chosen to view and compare our simulation results compared to our historical information. In this case, we're looking at cumulative gas for the well, cumulative oil, and the gas-oil ratio. The blue lines, or blue dots I should say, are representing our historical information, and the black line is representing our simulation results for this specific experiment ID, which is 105. The purple and green lines are representing our actual proxy values or predicted values from the proxy for this specific set of parameters and values. So I already have a proxy built, but the first time you come to this, we'd actually have to build the proxy model. That can be done on this top button under Configure and Build Proxy Models. So we have an option for the proxy model type, and that which can be adjusted. And once you're satisfied, you can actually build this model, and that's how we can get it to display the actual prediction. So once you say OK, now we can actually leverage the what if scenarios in the background. So let's zoom in just to see this a little bit better in each box. And let's say we're looking at this exact example, experiment 105. We can see that we have a mismatch between the black line and the blue in all scenarios. And we have an exact copy in the what if scenario, the same as experiment 105. But let's say we want to try and get a better match. So first thing, let's play with one of these parameters. Let's say rock compressibility. We can adjust the values for rock compressibility and see how the proxy model would actually make a prediction based on this value change. And we can see if we wanted to play with specifically compressibility to get a better match for cumulative gas and cumulative oil, we'd have to actually increase our rock compressibility. But let's play with our, let's look at our fracture permeability. Right now we're at just over 2000, but let's increase that value and see. We can see this is quite a sensitive parameter. So as I increase, I can get a better match to my historical information for all three scenarios, whether it's cumulative gas, cumulative oil, and gas-oil ratio. Of course, we can make other tweaks by playing with some of the other parameters, whether it's horizontal permeability, see how the prediction looks, play with any of the relative permeability, whichever value that I think is most sensitive or most uncertain that I want to play with, I should probably start there and start adjusting. Let's go back to the base case. So to do that, I'll just copy over my experiment 105. So I'll copy this down. We saw earlier that playing with fracture permeability is a sensitive parameter for the study. So let's increase our fracture permeability. And we can see that we have a better match for cumulative gas, cumulative oil, and our GOR. There might be something else that might give us fine tweaks, and we can play with those as well. And you can also type in the numbers or use a slider to change the values. However, let's say I'm happy with this prediction for the proxy, but really this is still a prediction. We actually want to see what this looks like when we simulate the model. Will it give me just as good of a match? We can test that by clicking Add Experiment. And this adds a new experiment to my experiment table. I've added experiment 105. And going to my experiment table now, going all the way to the bottom, I now have a new experiment which is incomplete, and these are their values. Once I actually play my CMOST study, this will be simulated and I can view the result and see how well the simulation results compares to my prediction from the proxy model. The Proxy Dashboard is a powerful tool that allows you to leverage the proxy model and allows you to predict simulation results without actually running all the different scenarios. Once you've made the tweaks you're satisfied with and you think this will provide a better result, we can actually simulate those results to verify. Thank you everyone for listening. And if you have any questions regarding CMOST or how to leverage proxies in your current or future studies, feel free to contact our support team at support@cmgl.ca. Thanks again. Bye.